Before we get into today's episode, I want to take a moment to say something that matters to me. The Pinto Podcast is completely independent. I don't take ad money, I don't have sponsors, and nobody pays me to say anything on this show. And that's not by accident. That's a decision I made deliberately. Because this podcast is about the craft, about the community, and about honest conversations. And some of those conversations will be hard conversations. The only thing that keeps the show going is you, and I only need one listener to do it. So I thank you for your generosity and all your support. Give us a like and subscribe to the Pinto Podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Now on to the episode. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Pinto Podcast. My name is Al Wayman, owner of Creek Road Pottery in Laceyville, Pennsylvania, next to the cold Tuscarora Creek. Pull up a chair around the wheel as we discuss topics concerning the art and craft of pottery, good books, storytelling, marketing, and creating work that matters for folks who care. Greetings, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Pinto Podcast. This is Season 5, Episode 6. So I've had a pretty nice start to the summer here in June, and we are halfway through the month already. It's kind of hard to believe. Everything is going pretty fast. We've gotten quite a bit of sun, and also we've had intermittent rain and thunderstorms, which has made the garden just blow up. It's been pretty nice. So the plants that I put in, they're starting to come in really beautiful. We're getting some kale, we're getting some peppers, and things are moving along. The watermelon plant that I tried to grow isn't doing all that well, and it may not make it. But we have some lettuce coming in, and tomatoes are doing great. So as far as that, everything seems to be fine there, except for the watermelon. Tuscarora Creek is running somewhat full with the rains. It gets high somewhat, but the last few days it's gone down to a normal level, and it's been running cold. On the hot days I go down and put my feet in the cool water, and it's just beautiful down there. Sometime I would like to record another podcast down there next to the creek because it's just beautiful. Had Father's Day, went to eat with my father and my sister. We also went to the family reunion down near Sunbury, Pennsylvania. Very nice area. Got to see my cousins. My second cousin makes pots. She makes pots down there, and she just put in a nice studio, got a nice kiln, and she's been doing little shows down near the Sunbury, Lewisburg area. If you want to find her online, her pottery name is Bare Bones Pottery, and so go check out her stuff and tell her Al Wayman sent you over to say hi. But she has some nice stuff, so I'm really happy to be able to inspire people to start, and so I plan to go down to one of her little shows at some point. I did buy one of her early mugs, which is kind of nice to have, and she has since improved in quite a bit, and the work looks beautiful. And we all know that everything we do is practice. And even today, I'm still improving. And we just move through that, the more pots we make. So I had a decent web sale for Father's Day. For some reason, people were finding my pots on the website. So I was pretty happy about that. Got a whole bunch of sales the last couple weeks. Been sending pots out almost every day, and that has made me feel good because that means I don't need to do as many shows if I can sell online, which is kind of nice, selling right off the porch into the mailbox. I started the Creek Road Pottery Collectors Club. I got that launched. I opened up 10 slots. So that means you would get something sent to you for a subscription of $50 every quarter. So I need to send out those pots. I just opened that up last week. I got 5 slots filled, so I have 5 slots open still. So if you care, to sign up for the Creek Road Pottery Collectors Club, I'll send you something every 3 months. And so I'm making something special for those peeps, and it's going to be fun because I'm trying some new things for the collectors, and it'll be fun getting out of my comfort zone. I got some shave brush handles that I need to put the shave brush knots in, and I need to figure out pricing for those. These are wood-fired shave brush handles. And they're really unique, simply because when I did a search, not too many people make shave brush, wood-fired shave brush handles. I think I said shave brush one too many times there. But so I need to get them in, and I'll be posting them online soon for those people in the shaving niche. Next, I hope to make a series of bonsai pots. I had a guy stop up to the show a few times who is a bonsai grower, and he showed me a bunch of his pots, said that he was in a little bonsai community, and so they did that as a hobby. And he said that I believe he has over 100 bonsai plants. So I thought it might be kind of nice to get into that niche. I'm trying to niche down and trying to find the others and trying to do the least viable audience, because you get tired out making pots for everybody. So if you niche down and make pots for people who care, it can save a lot of stress and a lot of effort loss, right? So that's what I've been trying to do here. Still got the solar project going. I plan to get the solar panels and the batteries coming up in July. I got the smart solar controller, charge controller, and so I already bought that. I had to do some other things because the economy is getting bad. I'm trying to prepare for that, and so I went and got enough oil for 2 oil changes of both the cars and my lawn tractor, because I believe that if things continue the way they're going out of the Middle East, as at the making of this podcast, things may get worse in the coming weeks. So I won't need to worry about that part. I just need to be able to change the oil in the car at least twice without paying an arm and leg for oil. Or if there's a shortage, they may not have processed oil for cars. So I went and did that. So I got that out of the way, bought some filters, and so good there. Been working on the rocket kilns. I need to widen the J-chute that burns the wood and creates the draft. Had a little bit too narrow. I'm doing a test on my small updraft, my little updraft Amoco kiln. So I need to widen that tunnel, make it a little bit bigger, and make the firebox a little bit bigger on the fronts of those. When I get that working, I plan to do at least 3 large rocket kilns to fire workout in to get me off propane gas, because I expect the propane gas to go through the roof. If it don't, good, right? But I expect it to. So once I get the solar done, and I get everything here, I plan to start buying wood for both the wood kiln and the rocket kilns and for heating the house. So I'm hoping to relieve myself a little bit from what I think is the coming hardship. The coming hardship a little bit around energy and the cost of energy and oil and gas and the cost of oil and gas. So we're working through that because no need to panic. You stay calm and you just pivot and roll with the punches, and it forces us maybe to do things outside our comfort zone and to learn and try new things that may or may not work. How exciting is that, right? So I'm hoping to get to at least cone 5-6 in the rocket kilns once I get that system worked out to a way that is more efficient. The problem with a lot of the rocket kiln plans that are out there, they have them sitting way up high to create that draft on platforms and things. And I don't want to climb a tree stand just to be able to load the kilns, right? So I have a bank. If worst comes to worst, I'm probably going to just dig a hole into the bank, set the kiln up. That way I can load it from the back, fire it from the front, have that nice draft coming up, do a groundhog kiln type setup for the updraft rocket kilns. Since I fired updrafts almost my whole pottery career, that's the only thing I know. Updrafts, from what I've heard from other people, are a real pain to get the temperatures even, but since I've been firing them quite a bit, there's techniques that I use that I can do that. So hopefully I can get wood here and get the updrafts in time for the fall shows. So that's going to be starting next month. I need to start making for the fall shows already because we'll be halfway through. Have a show coming up in the middle of August. That's the local fair. We're up there for a whole week. We split a booth with other artists, and we kind of formed a little group, the Northeast Artist Collective. So we rent a space up there, and we all take turns working the booth because doing the 12-hour days for one person would be exhausting. So we went up there last year. We did pretty good. Then I am in a show just after that. It's in the town of Clark Summit, and it's for local artists. It's like an artist tour. And then in August, I'm in a Susquehanna County artist tour. Then I have just after that, I have my fall show here. And then I need to start getting ready for the Christmas show in November already. So here it is, June. We're halfway through the year. I'm already anticipating all the things. So we'll see how it goes with the economy. So far, the buying has been decent. Depends on what you make, who you are, and where you are. But people who wish to buy gifts for weddings and things seem to be seeking me out online because they want something local. And so I've been trying to update everything on the website so the search engines can find it. Been doing SEO and all kinds of silly things to try to get it done to be able to show up in the search engines. And also, since people search using AI now, I had to anticipate that happening. So I did some work around that area. So maybe it's paying off. I'm seeing a lot more clicks when I have time to go in there, into the shop. So people are looking for authentic handmade, and they're looking for authentic local. So I can feel pretty good about that. And so I guess I'm going to keep moving forward. So that's a little update. So what I wanted to talk about in this episode, Season 5, Episode 6, is talking about a little bit about remaining calm during the hard times, so that you can make better decisions. Because if we make panicked decisions, that might be reacting off emotion rather than thinking about it. And at times, you may need to train yourself to think calmly and to be calm when everything goes to heck and everybody's reacting. So that's what I've been trying to do with this upcoming energy challenge due to the Middle East war with Iran. I've been trying to think about it more clearly, so I am not hoarding anything. I am not stockpiling anything. I'm just doing things that I would normally do, maybe ahead of time a little bit, to have things be a little bit easier. Like I put in the garden, doing the solar, to free myself up a little bit from energy consumption, and working things from that angle. So we'll talk about that. Like maybe give some tips around how to stay calm as a maker. It's going to be hard to do because you may be swept up in the group reaction of things. So how do you not allow apocalypticism to cloud your capacity to think reasonably, right? So that's what we want to think about. During hard times, it's very easy to get caught up into panic. And that clouds our vision of possibilities and maybe coming up with solutions that are creative. If we panic, maybe we're not able to do that because it paralyzes us. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So we'll talk about that. So I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna go get a coffee. I am in the pottery shed. I was just shooting some photos in the light box of the pots. So go get your coffee. Meet me right back here, and we'll talk about fear and reacting to fear as a maker and creator. Okay, I'll see you back here. Okay, friends, come on in the pottery shed. There's plenty of room here. Get your coffee, pull up a chair, and we're gonna talk about a way and techniques to work through chaotic times, using reason a little bit more rather than reacting emotionally. Because like I was saying in the beginning, apocalypticism and being panicked clouds our vision of the future and what it can be, and it clouds our reasoning, and it has us reacting with emotion rather than sitting down and coming up with a plan, because it will inhibit creative thinking. So I guess what I'm saying is, in manufacturing, there are techniques that we do, and problem-solving techniques that we use for when things like that happen, that can be applied outside of manufacturing, and I brought them to the studio, and I do them here in the pottery. And so when I see a storm brewing, kind of like the economic storm that I believe is coming, I want to put on my raincoat. I'm not going to panic about the storm. We've been through storms before, right? But I want to put on my raincoat, and I want to, like, If there's anything outside that I don't want to get wet, I want to bring it in. I want to tie down the tarps, right? So they don't blow over into the neighbor's lawn. And I just want to get ready for it. And part of that is thinking through different scenarios. And at the same time, we're not creating counterfactuals. Counterfactuals are things that we build up in our minds on what could happen so much that we end up getting anxiety about it, and we get paralyzed, and we just end up feeling exhausted and not doing anything, right? So we need to think about it in ways that are a little bit more dealing with reason and a calm, rather than reacting emotionally with apocalypticism and panic. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And one of those ways of doing it is plan, do, check, act. So it's PDCA. And we do this in my manufacturing job, and you can do it too in the studio. So chaos ends up costing you tons of money. It ends up costing you a ton of effort loss, because problems compound. Because the first problem and where things went wrong isn't necessarily the terrible thing. It's usually how you react to that. And usually, if you react out of panic and you make another wrong decision, you start digging yourself in the hole, because everything after that snowballs. And it costs you a lot to get back to where you need it to be. So a lot of times, walking that back and just stopping and thinking an extra minute can save you from making a mistake in reacting to the first thing that went wrong. So that's what we're trying to avoid. So I see the storm coming. I'm not going to start stockpiling like crazy, because I feel I don't need to. But I can, like I was saying earlier, do things to get ready for impact. That sounds terrible, but get ready for whatever storm's coming, right? I'm putting my raincoat on, tying down the tarps so they don't end up in the neighbor's lawn. So I guess, like in the studio, we're all practicing, so you shouldn't punish yourself for mistakes that you make, because it's all practice. But you will punish yourself in your responses to those things if you continue making poor decisions after that, instead of walking it back some. So you stop seeing what you actually know. And I think that, like, more experienced people, they may not avoid failures, but they shorten the recovery loop, because we always need to be practicing, and we always need to be putting ourselves out there and trying things that may not work and experimenting. However, when things start going ways that are costing us money, time, resources, raw materials, and effort loss, we can shorten those recovery loops by stopping them earlier rather than allowing everything to snowball. And so that's where plan, do, check, act comes in. So we're going to talk a little bit about this, and I'm going to walk through each one. So for plan, you would say, for example, we'll do something easy like doing a glaze recipe. You write down a glaze recipe. You would say you would pick the cone you want to fire to. So we're planning. We're committing to the temperature and the work heat. And you decide what success might look like at the result, or what goal you're trying to meet. So when things get chaotic, you would write down the thing that you're testing, even when everything's going to heck, right? So make a mini plan as quick as you can, but also make that mini plan rationally, being creative and doing the things that you know and that are familiar. So next is do. So you would make that test tile, test the glaze, you fire it, you make one small change at a time. So you take one action and then find out what happens, and then you move things forward and you document what's happening. And if it's not going the way that you think it should and going the wrong way, that one thing that you changed you can put back. So that way you're not making a lot of changes all at the same time and digging yourself in a hole. So check would be you're double checking your results, and you read the results against what you planned, and you look for what you expected and what surprised you. So maybe this whole economic thing that's happening isn't going to be so bad, and I may look back at it and be like, oh, thank goodness, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I didn't hoard things, I didn't hoard raw materials and stuff, so I didn't overspend. I didn't overspend on my mental capacity by worrying about it and panicking and getting myself worked up and having panic attacks and anxiety over it. But I'm trying to do that in a way that was a little bit more reasonable. And thank goodness it wasn't as bad. So a lot of times people, they skip the double checking and they skip looking for what they expected, and they skip what surprised them about what they found out after they did the test, and they jump right to fixing stuff. But you need to double check, actually see what happened, and then you move to act. So the act part would be, what do you need to adjust? What do you need to adjust on your buying habits, how your outlook is, if it's dealing with the economy stuff, if it's with the recipe, what in the glaze recipe would you need to adjust, the kiln firing schedule, should you run it again? The act step doesn't mean that you solved it. It means you chose a direction with information instead of anxiety. So that's what I'm trying to do with this whole reaction to this storm economic situation that I see brewing. I have Claude AI track all of our grocery spending. I take an image of the receipt, upload it. Some of you may not do this because you may not trust AI. That's fine. It's not for you. But for me, I'm trying to plan and check and act and do. So my check is I want to see if grocery pricing is actually rising on prices on the things that we personally buy every time we go to the grocery store when we food shop. So I take that receipt, photograph it, it categorizes it all out, and it tracks the pricing and the spending. And it shows us what things are rising, it shows what things are staying the same, so that we can react to those different things in better ways with more information. So I've been doing that. I've been tracking quite a few things, my raw materials, a whole bunch of different things. And that way I have better information rather than the chaotic information that's coming in that might not be all that reliable. And that might be influenced by friends, family, politics, the economics that we believe we're seeing. Is it really affecting us in the way that it's being said it's affecting us? And are we reacting to panic, or are we reacting to a real thing that we need to confront and maybe try to change direction in some creative way, right? So I think that like the hidden value of plan, do, check, act slows down the first things that we do, and that's probably the point of it, where chaos would accelerate you toward the wrong type of action. So the plan, do, check, act builds in a pause before you do anything. So that's the quiet in the chaos that I was talking about. And that is just one tool of staying calm and then giving you plan, do, check, act as a system, kind of, that's built into manufacturing that we use when things get chaotic. And it gives your brain a way to do the next move when your brain wants to start to build counterfactuals, when it wants to go apocalyptic, when it wants to catastrophize, when it wants to just be filled with anxiety. And then I think that we want to get to the point where you can be a maker who opens a bad firing and you would immediately grab like your notebook or whatever it is as a trained response and then start writing down what you learned from that. And then afterwards have the feelings of disappointment because at least you would have written down some things that would need changing and tests that need changing and the acts that you can do to have the next one be more successful. So this manufacturing idea came out of quality control, Edward Deming, and it came out of places where the same failure cost thousands of dollars in quality issues. And so I think that scaled down and put in a studio, it can be really helpful. So I've done this firing kilns, and using this as a real example, you make a plan on what temp you want to do, and if you want to put in a full body reduction, what plan you're going to do. You review that plan. You have the goals in mind. You have what you expect in mind, pots from previous firings where it worked successfully. You say, this is what I want to do. Then you put those things into place and start working towards those goals. Then you check what comes out of the kiln and see what happened. And then you react to that in a positive way with reason. So it doesn't mean you're solving problems again by acting. It means you're choosing a direction. And then you would go ahead and make those changes and find out what you would need to do next by following that again. So this might have been really hard to get through because it's more manufacturing and technical, but it is techniques to you can apply to what you're doing in the studio and remaining calm in chaos, because when chaos snowballs, it can be the most expensive and worst thing that you can get into, and I don't want you to go there. And even with this wood kiln build, I'm using these techniques because they come naturally. I've been working manufacturing for over 30 years, and it comes naturally to me because we were brought up on this stuff. And so now I bring it to the studio to try. So I'm not always successful with it, right? It takes practice. But at least having a system and a thing that you always go to work through the steps is very helpful, much more helpful than panic mode. Oh man, I'm overwhelmed. I have no idea what I'm going to do kind of thing, right? Okay, so hopefully you found all that manufacturing system check, act, plan, do helpful, and maybe you can use it in some way. Maybe you can't. So I've made a lot of podcast episodes over the last 5 seasons. And every single one of them was practice. And not every single one of them will be a good episode. And there will be some terrible ones in there. So I will need to use the techniques that I just went over in this episode. And then act on that rather than panicking that this was a bad episode. So thanks for all your support. I only need one listener, and I appreciate each of you that do take the time to listen to the Pin Tool podcast. And I hope that at least one person finds the podcast helpful in some way. And if I can help you out, that's what this is for. So I don't make this podcast for everybody. I'm not looking to make tons of money off this podcast. So mainly, I just probably make it for one person. Well, 2 actually, myself and one other person, and I hope that I can help somebody out there. So give the podcast a like on your favorite podcast platform, and send in a comment or 2, say hello, and if you would like to ask any questions, feel free, and I'll see what I can do in researching those answers for you. Feel free to check out the shop if you get time. I'm going to be posting some new things in there. If you feel moved through pity and want to sign up for the Collectors Club, that'll be on the Creek Road Pottery website. And I run the Pottery Dailies every day. You can sign up for that. That's free. There is a paid version of it where I do extra articles and things like that for a few people who signed up. But it's all free over there. The majority of it is free. So feel free to check that out if you get a minute. So I hope you're all making beautiful pots. And I hope that you're making rational decisions and not from total panic. Keep making, keep creating. It's a form of generosity. And keep making work that matters for people who care. And also to bring about the change you seek to make. Till next time, take care, friends. Happy potting.